Good afternoon, everyone. It is February 18th, 2021, and this is the Board Operations Committee starting at 12:30. We are coming to you remotely pursuant to Governor Newsom's order, and members of the public have opportunities to participate as well, and I will ask our committee secretary to mention those options.
Thank you, Chair Corbett. So members of the public that wish to provide a public comment may do so in one of three ways. You can send an email to boardopscommittee@ebparks.org or dial and leave a voicemail to 510-544-2500. Or if you wish to make a live comment, you may join the Zoom link, which is also provided in the agenda posted on our website, and we will address you as you enter into the meeting.
Thank you very much. And can you please call the roll?
Sure. Director Wieskamp?
Here.
Director Echols?
Here.
Director Corbett?
Here.
AGM O'Connor?
Here.
And we also have staff presenters and staff participants joining us today, which include Matt Moore, Sarah Motley, Jeff Bennett, Ann Castlebaum, Tiffany Margolici, Steve Castile, Dan Sykes, and Ruby Tumber.
Thank you very much. And welcome, everybody. That's one great thing about this committee. We get to see a lot of the people that are out in the field making us all look good. So we appreciate all of your participation today in your reports and hearing about what you've been working on. And I'll just ask the board members, are there any questions before we call the first agenda item?
I have none.
Everybody good? Okay. All right. AGM O'Connor, would you like to introduce the review of the Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center RFP at Anthony Chabot Regional Park?
I certainly would. As you know, the equestrian centers have been around for years, almost as long as the Park District, and they provide a critical service to the equestrian community. And we, whenever they're stable, we're always happy. Whenever they're, and I guess that's a pun, but whenever we have a competent operator, it's great for us. It's great for the boarders. It's great for the equestrian community. And we did at Anthony Chabot and at Los Trampus have some stability for many, many years. And that was great. And we've had recently a turnover, which is always challenging for us, especially for Tiffany in her position as a business services manager. So we went through an RFP process, which Tiffany will walk you through. And in this case, I think we really have come out on top here with our recommended concession operator. And I'm really excited about it. And I think you're going to be excited about it. So I'm going to pass it off to Tiffany. So Tiffany, take it away.
Thank you. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that introduction. Business Services Manager Tiffany Margolici. Good afternoon, Chair Corbett and Directors Echols and Wieskamp. I will be presenting this item on the Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center. I am first going to share my screen. One moment. And can everyone see that?
Yes,
thank
you.
Wonderful, thank you. So again, this is the Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center request for proposal review. And in the presentation, what I'll do is I'll just go through the background of the location, a little bit about the recent operator, this request for proposal timeline and process, and then move on to our recommended concessionaire, projected revenue, as well as the partnerships and our staff recommendation. So this is the location of the Equestrian Center. It's on Skyline Boulevard in Oakland. It consists of a large barn with an indoor arena, 3 small barns. It's a total of 65 stalls. There's the 2 outdoor arenas, several paddock areas, and 2 residences. I'm not sure if you can see my cursor, but the residences, first residence is here near the covered arena, with a secondary residence across the street, across the parking area. This location is really a confluence of park users and user types. So I wanted to put this in here in addition to show that it is at the intersection of several trails, the Horseshoe Trail, the Goldenrod Trail. And one of the things that we are looking for in our operator concessionaire here is a team that's able to communicate and welcome and provide balance with all of the user groups that use this space, also while maintaining the equestrian center. So as AGM O'Connor mentioned in his introduction, we've recently had done an RFP for this site in June 2018 and began a 7-year agreement in January 2020. And then just only 10 months into the agreement, the concessionaire gave her 6 months notice due to retirement. And like many people, COVID has changed a lot of life circumstances, and she chose to take her retirement at this time. So this, I won't go through every single date here. That's too much to go through, but I did want to share with the committee all of the steps that we go through in an RFP process. And without knowing the steps that we go through, 6 months might seem like a lot of time, but 6 months is actually a very short time to go through this type of process. We want to be very transparent. We want to give fair competition. And so we have an open announcement for the RFP. We do all of our questions and answers either in written format or at the mandatory site visit so that everybody receives the same information at the same time. So I just wanted to put this is what is shown in the RFP, and it gives you an idea of what the process entails. And we are down almost towards the end of the process where we're at Board Operations Committee review here today. Regarding the RFP process, we did direct mailing, we did a website posting, I did some cold calling to stables in the area. We had 5 attendees at the site visit representing 2 different entities. We did receive a proposal from one entity who's very strong, and I'll get to talk about them in a moment. But we did go through a formal interview panel process, including an outside representative from the Mid-Peninsula Open Space District, one of my counterparts at that agency that does similar type of work. So with that, I will move into our recommended concessionaire, Keystone Management Company. I'm very pleased to introduce Bijwa Lucas Ricardo and Anthony Ricardo. They are here in the meeting, and I'll have them speak in a few moments. Bijwa and Anthony have extensive horse business experience as horse trainers and also equestrians themselves. Bijwa has been part of the prior Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center management team, not with this concessionaire. She's been an on-site trainer with this concessionaire, but the prior one was part of the management team, very accomplished, and bringing a lot of strengths to this, this site, including a big focus on safety, a community focus, and a modern business approach. Anthony Ricardo is very accomplished in banking in the world of finance and brings that side of the business to the team. They also are bringing to the table some strategic partners, which will further round out the operation. So they've established a sister barn relationship with Apple Creek Farms in Castro Valley. And having a sister barn creates efficiencies for purchasing. They can purchase things together at a better cost. And also Abelino Espinoza at Apple Creek Farms has extensive barn management experience and will be an advisor to Keystone as they launch, hopefully launch here at Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center. Another strategic partner, which I'll have Bijwa speak directly to in a few moments, is with Brianna Noble and the Humble Project. This is an outreach and programming for underserved youth The primary location of Humble Project is more towards the Martinez area, and is focused on having youth have first-time experiences with horses. And as they gain confidence and grow out of that program, they're looking for satellite barns to expand their program to and have youth continue in their riding experience. So Vijay will speak more to that shortly. Related to the projected revenue, there was no change to the current charges to customers proposed at this time. So it'll be would be a very smooth transition for the boarding community. And the proposed fees are the same as what the current concessionaire had been paying, which is a 5% concession fee plus the 5% maintenance fund fee for a total of 10% of gross revenue. The picture in the upper right here is some of the type of outreach clinics they do specific to desensitizing or getting horses accustomed to being around cyclists. And I think Vijay will also speak a little bit to that, but you can see you have the horses there with a bike as well. So our staff recommendation is for the Keystone Management Company, and it would be for a 3-year initial term with a 5-year option term. And with that, I will stop my screen share, and I'd like to ask Vijay to make some brief comments, and then I believe we have some public comments also, and then we'll have question and answer. So with that, I'm going to stop this share, and Vijay and Anthony, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Welcome, Vijay and Anthony. Thanks for being with us.
We're pleased to be here. Thank you very much. Committee Chair Corbett, Director Wieskamp, and Director Echols. We really want to say we're excited to be here. My name is Vijay Lucas Ricardo, as we were introduced so kindly.
And then we'll have question and answer. So
and this is Anthony Ricardo. Together we represent Keystone Management Company. So first, we want to say we're really looking forward to working with the staff. They've been wonderful, and we definitely have a collective vision towards making the facility enjoyable and accessible for all, and very safe as well. As Tiffany mentioned, I'm part of the Sustainability Task Force for Brianna Noble's Humble Project. The Humble Project is an equine program that is dedicated to positively impacting youth from underserved communities. Through enriching learning experiences, Humble uses horses as a medium to inspire bright futures in youth. So currently what we're doing is designing a network of trainers and facilities. Tiffany kind of mentioned this. We want to support the furtherance of the equestrian training for these youths. And so far we're in the developmental stages, but it's very exciting, and plans are, if possible, to include Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center as one of those satellite training facilities, so we can really branch out and reach more in our community. Moving on, a little bit about the facility. Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center is not only an equestrian facility, but as Tiffany mentioned, it's a booming trailhead. So with these multi-use trails, we all have to be really prepared to encounter each other. And when it comes to horses, that means you need to have desensitization training. And that's really a tool that can be used to assist safe trail usage for everybody. So my program, it does offer desensitization training. A lot of people wonder what's involved. It's kind of a mystery word, desensitization. What you do is you take the horses, and there's three stages that you teach them. First, you teach them to accept objects that might be a bike, a stroller, or a dog. Accept the sight of the object. Second, you ask them to accept the sound of the object. That might be bells, brakes, or the dog's barking. And third, it's the movement of the object. Each individual stage, you start with the horse maybe around 200 feet away and progressively get them closer. And through positive reinforcement, you teach the horse to accept these things, one thing after the other. And eventually, they're used to and accepting of all these things, and we can have safe trail use for everybody. So in conclusion, Keystone Management, we really hope to be an asset to not only the facility itself, but all the trails and all of its users. Thank you so much for hearing us.
Thank you very much. Is there any other presentation before I go to questions? Tiffany?
Thank you for asking. I'd maybe defer to the secretary if we have some public comments at this time
Okay.
before we move to questions.
Thank you very much.
We have a number of comments that were submitted, but we also have a speaker here today, Ms. Karen Spies. If you could please unmute yourself and you can share your comments. You will be given 3 minutes and I can start your timer as soon as you come on. Are you there?
Yes, I think I am.
All right, I'm going to start your timer.
Okay, thank
Hello.
you. Thank you very much for the time and the opportunity to speak to you today on behalf of Keystone Management Company. I have personally had the great pleasure of being a rider and a boarder at Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center for 15 years. I've known Vijay and Anthony both throughout this time. I know them to be the most respectable, honest, and upstanding citizens that I have ever met. I hold them in the highest esteem, both personally and professionally. I've seen improvements over the years. Sarah Creary had the concessionaire for a while, and her focus tended to be on jumping and dressage. Mona has come along and done a spectacular job of bringing in natural horsemanship and cow working clinics to the facility, which addressed a whole new audience, both boarders and people who came on site to attend these functions. And I have every reason to believe that Vijay and Anthony will continue this trend, bringing more opportunities to the boarders at Chabot and again, attracting people from outside. What you get with Keystone, individually, Vijay is extremely knowledgeable about horses, injuries, diseases common to horses. Anthony's background in finance is simply invaluable. It's been a key to Keystone Management's success and will be a real asset to the management of Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center. Together, I mean, they bring, it's FedEx, sorry. They bring.
The sound of the censor.
The world of Zoom.
Yeah, right. But together they bring a tech savvy that's been lacking with the prior concessionaires by virtue of the changing times primarily. So that I believe they will use this to the advantage of the boarders by increasing communication and to outreach to the general public, which can only help the facility. As I said, Sarah was focused on jumping and dressage, Mona on natural horsemanship. Vijay, on the other hand, is that rare person who knows it all and teaches it all. So she's the person that we want to move us forward. She knows how to deal with all the different kinds of horses the boarders have at the facility. She knows how critical, as she mentioned earlier, trail safety and trail etiquette is to the people who use the trails adjacent to Chabot. We are so lucky to have this beautiful system of trails and be so central to it. But safety in this effort is just absolutely critical. And that's the piece that not everyone can bring to the table. You know, a lot of people like show barns and training barns, their focus tends to be very narrow and therefore exclusionary. Keystone Management is bringing a broad focus and extremely, continuing to expand that focus, which can only benefit not only the boarders at the barn, but the general public and their access to your wonderful facility. So
Thank you. Your time was up.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Director Corbett, we did receive 2 email comment submissions that I would like to read to the committee now.
Yes, please do.
The first one comes from Joyce Smith. Dear EBRPD Board of Directors, my name is Joyce Smith. By way of background, I am a partner at Baker & McKenzie LLP, focusing on international tech transactions, but perhaps more importantly and relevant, leading our firm's local and global D&I initiatives. I am also a longtime Oakland resident who loves and appreciates our public parks and spaces. I am delighted to write this letter of enthusiastic and unequivocal support for Keystone Management Company in connection with your decision to award the ACED concession. I've had the pleasure of being a client of Keystone Training based at ACEC for over 12 years. My experience over this period of time has been fun, insightful, and rewarding in terms of my growth as a writer and as a human being, owing to the effective, insightful, and caring instruction of Keystone Training. As an equestrian and racial equity advocate, I am excited and thrilled to see that the board is considering awarding the ACEC concession to Keystone Management Company. In my view, the ACEC concession couldn't be in more exceptional hands than with Keystone Management Company, who possess the perfect combination of experience/expertise, business acumen, and care and concern for the community. Let's keep the momentum going and ensuring that all the wonderful assets EBRPD has to offer continues to reach a wide array of constituents and users, particularly underserved communities. This pandemic and fiscal recession only shows how important and worthwhile our beautiful facilities and open spaces are for families and users who need it most. Thank you for your time and consideration. Kind regards, Joyce. And our last comment comes from Frank Harbin and Michelle Burrill. To whom it may concern, we are lifelong Oakland residents and homeowners. We have been competing and showing in nationally ranked equestrian competitions for over 25 years. We are active members of Oakland's proud Metropolitan Horsemen's Association. We are so grateful to be boarders, always more than one horse, at Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center for over 22 years and counting. We have served one summer as EBRPD ambassadors, giving very popular barn tours to the public at Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center every other Sunday. There is not another equestrian facility in the Oakland Hills and for many miles beyond that is physically able to accommodate visits from the public. We optimistically look forward to ACEC once again being a welcoming public facility where our diverse public will be generally welcome when they visit. One of our favorite responses from the non-equestrian public is, "We never knew this wonderful facility is right here." For our diverse equestrian community and in honor of our rich East Bay equestrian history, ACEC is unique as it represents home to all disciplines of ridership, whether it be Western, pleasure/trail riding, dressage, or hunter jumper. Keystone Management Company, Vidra Lucas and her husband Anthony, know ACEC value the legacy and will do their best to continue this tradition. And they represent their passion too in exposing new generations to the joy of engaging with equines. Also, we look forward to a more active interaction with EBRPD staff in assisting with our goal for enhancing the public's and our equine communities' shared appreciation for our public's parks and trails in our diverse public community. It is a great location for our park visitor to occasionally meet an EBPRD employee and gain a deeper appreciation for our exceptional EBPRDs. Thank you for considering our comments. And that is it for the public comments on this item.
Thank you very much, Secretary Valentine. I would just like to say before I open up to questions, I don't think you could have a more impressive group of references or supporters. And isn't it so nice to hear the appreciation for the work that you're doing and the potential for even more. So let me please open it up to the board members for any questions or comments they may have. Yes, Director Wieskamp.
I think we're very, very lucky listening to all this ardent support and the fact that you're very inclusive. You want to have a good relationship with the other users because there are always potential problems there. And I like your business sense. I like your knowledge, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Director Wieskamp.
Director Echols.
Sure. Yeah, I echo what Director Wieskamp said. And also, I particularly liked what I heard from Karen about how you are the team that can do it all. So I think that's really important, because as we heard, different organizations tend to focus on different things, and I think it's fabulous that you can do it all. Plus your focus on underserved communities. I think that's really great. That's a big emphasis on what the Park District is trying to do to make sure that our programs really serve everyone and include everyone. And I appreciate what you said about that, and your vision for moving forward with that as well. So thank you.
And I concur with everything that has been said, so I will not repeat that, but I very much appreciate those comments, and they align with my own thoughts. And I would just add one more little thing. Also, so impressed about your work in training and sensitivity, that this is an urban facility, and something we're always doing in the Park District is balancing so many different uses, especially on our trails. And the fact that you are working towards training that will allow, hopefully, happy users of all types on the trails, and making sure the riders and their horses are safe as well. So I think that's very, very important. So thank you for that part of it too. So I don't know, I think you check all the boxes. So are there any, oh yes, AGM O'Connor, would you like to also add more laudatory details?
Well, just to say that, first of all, Bijou and Anthony, very good to meet you. I hadn't had a chance to meet you through the process because we're living in COVID land these days. But very glad you could join us today. And board members, when we have these RFPs, we're always kind of crossing our fingers. And in this case, we received one proposal, and when Tiffany first mentioned to me, I thought, oh no, we're going to have to go out again. And then she calls me back the next day and says, no, I think it's a really good proposal. And we started reviewing, looking into Bijou and Anthony's background, and we were very, very impressed. I think in this case, we have a unicorn, and I look forward to working with you. And I really like the idea that you're doing the sensitivity training. I'll have to echo Director Corbett's words. I was involved in some of that work in my prior work in Santa Clara County to the south. And I think it's super important, because the two user groups have to come together. We're not going to be able to keep them separate. That is the future. And I know, Anthony, I think you're the mountain biker, and I used to do a lot of mountain biking too. So I'm really glad to hear that. I think that's going to be a good part of our program. So thank you, Chair Corbett. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Well, I don't know how we could, it doesn't sound like we could have even gotten a better proposal, frankly. So are there any other comments or questions? If not, a motion is in order to move this recommendation to the full board. Yes, Director Echols, are you moving?
Sorry. Yes, I muted. Yes, I am making that motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moved by Director Echols, seconded by Director Wieskamp. Please call the roll on the vote.
Director Wieskamp?
Aye.
Director Echols?
Aye.
Director Corbett?
Aye.
So moved.
Congratulations. You're moving forward to the board. And thank you so much. We very much appreciate the fact that you were interested in working with us as well.
I look forward to being able to see you in person.
Yes. We'll all come visit you as soon as we can.
We look forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. So we can move on to, and thank you very much to Tiffany for your great work in finding us these great vendors. Thank you. All right, our next item. I'm sorry, I'm reading this off my screen and it just went dark, so let me just find it. So next item 3, is a review of the Los Trampus Stables RFP at the Los Trampus Regional Wilderness.
So just a really quick intro here is that Los Trampus had been one of our challenging boarding facilities, and in the last few years it's turned around quite a bit. And then, of course, we heard Ms. Ellingson's decision to retire. So again, we were in another situation where we were concerned about, how things were going to go through the RFP process. But again, I think we have a good outcome. And with that, I'll pass it off. Tiffany, take it away.
Thank you. So back to me again, and I'm going to share my screen this time for the Los Trampus stables. And here we are. So now a different location, different facility. As AGM O'Connor mentioned, this concession had been run by the same operator as Anthony Chabot Equestrian Center. Mostly by coincidence, the two concessions are completely separate. And so we did go through an RFP process and have a recommendation for this location as well. So very similar outline to the last presentation of what we'll cover. And so I'll just then launch into where this location is at. It's on Bollinger Canyon Road in San Ramon. And it shows here on the map, it is on both sides of Bollinger Canyon. A lot of folks don't realize that the concession footprint is quite substantial across the street as well. This is Little Hills event concession. This is the main complex of the stables, and then here across the street. So it's a 40-stall boarding barn. There's a 10-stall covered paddock. There's a large storage barn here for storage of hay, a covered outdoor arena, some segmented pastures that are also rented, 2 residences, and it's over 8 acres of facility. So again, identical timeline as to the last one. We had done an RFP in 2018, selected the concessionaire whose agreement started in January 2020. She announced her 6-month retirement in October, and here we are. So we followed a very similar timeline with the 6-month process and very similar outreach. Related to the RFP process, we did a direct mailing, website postings, cold calling. We had 6 attendees at the site visit representing 3 entities. And once again, we had a formal interview process. We also received 1 proposal for this concession, and we did put them through the same rigorous, full formal process to get the best information for our decision. And we also had the panelists from Mid-Peninsula Open Space District. So our recommendation for the committee is for Julian Bartley, LLC. Julian is here with us at the meeting for questions. Julian has been a very successful on-site manager of the facility for about 2 years. She lives on site and manages the facility. She has been employed by the outgoing concessionaire. She has proven skills working with park staff. The park supervisor, Matt Moore, is here at the meeting as well, and I thank him for his input into this. He's shared with us really positive feedback about working with Julian. She's very responsive and responsible and good to work with, creating a very welcoming and welcoming environment at the facility. Julian's business plan focused on providing exceptional service and very moderate and smart growth. She is focused on continuing the contracted services for daily operations to really keep the costs low here at the facility, and then doing corrective and preventative maintenance. Julian also has a desire in her proposal to do increased outreach to the community, specifically related to equine therapy, and also just general, community events where public can come and get to know the facility. So with Julian Bartley, she is also not proposing any changes to the current charges to customers. So again, one of the strengths, as with the previous proposal, is a potentially very smooth transition for the boarders. And again, proposing the same cost structure as the current concessionaire a 5% concession fee, 5% concession maintenance fund fee for a total of 10%. And so with that, that's our recommendation for Julian Bartley LLC with a 3-year initial term and a 5-year option term. And Julian is here, and this would be an opportunity, Julian, if you want to say a brief comment, and then we'll take questions.
Welcome, Julian. There you are. Unfortunately, we are not able to hear you, Julian. Oh, you're connecting. It's coming up.
If the Chair Corbett, it's up to you. If you,
audio connects.
Okay, you're connected now, Julian. So go ahead, please. Oh, wait, it stopped.
Huh.
It disconnected.
Frustrating.
well, I will say one challenge of the Los Trampus stables is the connectivity location. So I know that's a challenge. We can give Julian a few minutes if the committee wants to move into comments. That's up to you, Director Corbett.
Let's see, is she working yet? Is it working yet? Not yet, unfortunately, Julian. We see you, but we can't hear you.
Hand signals.
Conveys.
Can she connect by phone with us? Is there a phone-in option that she might be able to use?
Good
Sure.
idea.
Option in the invite. I also welcome Julian to write her response in the chat as well, if she likes, and I can read it out loud.
Oh, okay, there you go. Let's see, take your mute off. I think you might work now. Your mute's on.
Option.
Okay.
Does that work? So welcome Julian to write her response in the chat as well, if she likes, and I can read it out loud.
Okay.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Great. I apologize. The connection is a little touchy out here. But I did want to thank you.
Let's see, take your mute off. I think you might work now. Your mute's on.
Are we working?
There's a delay.
You got to turn off your YouTube. You have your YouTube going.
Okay. Are we working? Okay. I apologize. I did want to express my gratitude for the ability to meet with the board and the opportunity to potentially take over the responsibilities here at Los Trampus Stables.
Thank you very much. Oh, I think we lost you again. We lost your voice again, Jill. Oh, no, we hear you now.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a lag. I'm sorry.
It's okay. We're all adjusting.
Is there anything else you would like to add, Jolene?
So one of the benefits here is that I'm already here at the barn. I've been serving the Los Trampus stable for almost 2 years now. It'll be 2 years in March. And I've been very privileged to develop a very close relationship with our boarders here, as well as their horses. So a lot of our horses here are special needs and rescues that require specialized care. And I've been very fortunate that I've been able to get to know each owner and horse and their needs very individually. So that is one thing I'm looking forward to continuing as we grow.
Thank you very much. It's always nice to have someone that you've been working with for a while who has that knowledge. So thank you for that. That's a plus. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. AGM O'Connor, did you want to add something?
I just, I forgot in our last presentation, we did have Sarah Motley here, the park supervisor from Anthony Chabot, but we also have Matt Moore, who is the park supervisor for Los Trampus. And if you have any questions, Matt's here also. And Matt, did you want to add any comment?
I just like to add a comment, and that's that it's been a pleasure communicating with Julian throughout this whole thing. I mean, I came on as a supervisor in February, right when COVID hit.
Oh my.
And I have kids in school, and so I was very limited on my access to the park, especially in the beginning. And it was really nice having Julian on site. She has a really good relationship with all of the rangers and our park craft specialists, and a lot of the boarders too, who stop me out on the trail on their horses and talk about the stables. So she's been a real asset to us. So I just want to put in good words for her on that. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you very much, Matt. That sounds like a good recommendation to me. Thank you. And thank you for working through this last very, difficult year of COVID. Thank you for being out there for us.
Yeah, I think we're all adapting.
Thank you so much. Yes, Tiffany.
I had just forgot to mention a little bit about Julian's background, and I do think she has a calling for working with animals from our conversation with her. And in addition to being very knowledgeable with horses, Julian also has experience as the manager running a dog boarding facility. So it's a nice complement of current management experience, past management experience with animals who are near and dear to people's hearts, and then being a writer herself. So I just wanted to say thank you again to Julian for proposing.
Thank you very much. All right. Are there any other comments before we open it up to questions? Okay. Are there any questions or comments, board members? Director Wieskamp?
I want to say, listening to our staff, aren't they great multitaskers? Sometimes we forget about school and work and different parts of work and things coming along from fires on up and down. So Julian, it sounds like you're going to you already fit in very nicely with our staff and the boarders, and you'll understand interactions between dogs and horses and hopefully bikers too. So congratulations on doing such a great job, and we know you'll continue to do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Wieskamp. Director Echols?
Yeah, I concur, and also would just like to add, I think it's really wonderful that you've already been there for a couple of years and are on site and know the boarders and staff and visitors and have good relationships with them, and especially that you have good relationships with the horses, especially because there are these special needs horses. So I was touched by that, and I think that's really important. So thank you for submitting your proposal, and yeah, I'm very, very excited.
Thank you very much, Director Echols. And I will concur with my board members again. We appreciate your interest in working with the East Bay Regional Park District. We especially appreciate you wanting to continue with us. And it is a benefit to have someone who's familiar with the stable and the individuals and the beautiful horses, all who reside there. So thank you. Thank you very much. And if there's not anything else to add, a motion is in order on this item as well.
So moved.
Director Echols, would you like to make the motion to move it to the board?
Yeah, so moved.
Moved by Director Echols, seconded by Director Wieskamp. Please call the roll.
Director Echols,
Aye.
Director Wieskamp,
Aye.
Director Corbett.
Aye.
So moved.
So moved. Congratulations. It's moving on to the Board of Directors. Thank you very much, Julian, for putting up with that connectivity and making your presentation. And thank you very much. We will all see you again soon too, hopefully.
Thank you very much.
And congratulations. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we have our next item, and that is an update on park operations and interpretive parklands unit. And I believe that this is the our Dry Creek Meyers Garden greenhouse presentation, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah.
So AGM O'Connor, would you like to introduce the item? Oh, hello there, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. Just, I had a chance to get out and see the greenhouse with Bob Doyle. I guess it's almost a month and a half ago now. And this project's been evolving for, I think, 2 years or maybe a little longer. And it was really amazing. I mean, this is a perfect example, board members, of the work that our staff does, the high quality work, the craftsmanship that we get out of our staff because of their knowledge, their skills, and their dedication to the work. So it's a really exciting project. It's kind of at the beginning, of stages for Jeff to take it over and start growing things. But with that, I'm just going to pass it off. And I don't know if Steve wants to add any comments to that.
Welcome, Steve, also.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that introduction. Good afternoon, Steve Castillo, Chief of Park Operations. Just to chime in on what Jim was saying, this is a very long process. Jeff has been at the Meyers Garden Dry Creek for about 8 years now. And early on, he identified that he would be needing a greenhouse, to help propagate all the plants that are out there. And so just through a long process of hard work and determination, Jeff was able to bring together the resources of the project, to bring it to fruition. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Great.
Welcome, Jeff.
Hi. I'd like to thank you, Director Corbett and Echols and Wieskamp for having me today to talk about this great project. It has it's been 5 years since the first information about including a new greenhouse in the garden. We do have one here that was set up in 2007, and it's the typical plastic and thin aluminum framing. And even in these last windstorms that we had a few weeks ago, I think we had 5 panels of it blow out and doors have flown off. And so it's definitely was time for a new one. So the timing couldn't have been better. I have a PowerPoint presentation, and I believe Ruby is going to bring it up, or I can bring it up here if I need to. Let me.
You have the ability to share your screen, Jeff?
Yes, I do.
Please go ahead.
Okay, let me go in here. Oops. Sorry, I think I have. Let me get back to this screen here, and there it is. Can you see it?
Almost. There it is.
Okay. All right. Let me start my. Oh, I'm not seeing the. There we go. Okay. All right. So way back in 2016, this is a path that leads up to where the greenhouse was proposed to be. And this was one of our volunteers back then. As you can see, he's not wearing a mask because there was no COVID in 2016. And one of your previous presenters here, Matt Moore, was very good at rebuilding that stone wall there on the right. And we widened the path so we could actually drive our mule up to the area where the greenhouse was proposed to be. So this shows how long ago we were in preparation for getting the greenhouse started. Here is the original site, and this is January of 2016. When I decided on what size greenhouse I wanted to get, I wanted to see how big it was, and the one we have now is 9 by 12, and the new one is 18 by 31 feet. And so this is the area where we propose to have it, and it is right above our office and above the swimming pool. and it is going east to west, so it's a south-facing building, so we maximize the amount of light that we get. Those 4 sticks represent what we determined to be the footprint of the greenhouse. And in the background there, this particular area, especially to the left that you can't see, there is probably 400 or 500 little oak seedlings coming up, and it's a big thicket. And so this area behind, we actually removed all those trees, and there are bigger trees up behind it that are still there. So this is when the design process was started. And those little pots that you see there, that was the beginning of the iris garden that is now quite large also. So that's where they were stored until we got the iris area completed. On February 27th of 2020, which is about 2 weeks before COVID hit, the greenhouse was delivered. And it came from South Carolina, so it's American made. And it was delivered on a truck. And inside those boxes, there's aluminum framing. And amazingly, all the glass for the greenhouse is in those boxes. And not a single one was broken. And it was amazing feat to get that delivered and brought up to the site. We had to rent a forklift to unload from the truck. And so it was nice to finally have it delivered. March 17th was when COVID shut us down as far as a lot of work and all the restrictions. But 11 days before COVID restrictions, they came in with the bulldozers and tractors and things and leveled out the area and brought it down to the height that we needed. They even made a road to go down from the rear gate to the area, and then dug trenches for the cement foundation. And so those were down below grade. And this is soil that's never been dug in before or anything, we thought. At the end of the greenhouse, when they were digging, we actually hit a water pipe that we had no idea was there. And surprisingly, the water pipe went right to that tree on the left and ended right there. So 60 years ago, they knew we were going to be putting a greenhouse here. And so they ended the pipe right where we needed it. So it worked out great. March 12th, you can see the digging was done. And 2 months of shutdown. So very disappointing to have the greenhouse sitting in boxes after 5 years of waiting for this. And everything came to a halt. On the May 10th photo, you see the central drain being propped up and ready to pour cement around that. And then on the far right picture, the May 19th, is some of the exterior construction of the foundation of the greenhouse. On June 25th, we started to pour the perimeter foundation, and that wall that you see the 2 workers doing there on the left is the knee wall. The floor of the greenhouse is actually 10 inches lower than that. And you can see that in the upper right-hand photo. When all the framing was taken off, you can see the basic perimeter of the greenhouse. And of course, once you start seeing this, it's like, oh, I wish it was bigger, but it's pretty big. So it's really nice to have. And then all of the boxes that were delivered all had numbers on them. So we put all of these packages in numerical order so that we could find the parts that we needed. When our construction crew from the Park District showed up, they really didn't know what they were going to be putting together. They thought this was going to be a plastic greenhouse from Walmart. And they're like, oh, we're here to put some greenhouse together. So when they got there, and I said, well, have you seen pictures of it? And so I went and printed some pictures and laminated it. And once they saw a picture of it, they're like, oh, wow. They thought they're going to be there a day or two. So then they're actually excited about the progress of doing this greenhouse and put it together. It was quite the learning process for everybody. That yellow thing on the bottom of before the floor is a vapor barrier, and that keeps moisture from coming up through the cement. And then you can also see the rebar in there to keep the foundation from cracking or slipping. The floor was poured in the last week of July. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for that. I had already scheduled a camping trip, and so I was gone for that, but I was glad to get pictures. And you can see the central drain right there. And then on the left, you see that tall cement wall. And when I designed the greenhouse, I wanted it because that's the north side of the greenhouse. We don't get any light, and it also acts as a heat sink. And what that does is during the day, as the greenhouse heats up, especially in the wintertime, it holds heat and keeps the greenhouse warmer in the winter. And then in the bottom photo, you can see the cement is curing there, and it's basically ready for the first framing. Uh-oh. It's not forwarding here. It goes backward, but not going forward. Uh-oh. Ruby.
I can pull a copy of yours up, Jeff, but in the meantime, do you stop sharing and then try resharing if that works?
Yep. Let's see.
Or Jeff, you can try clicking on slide number 7 to your left to see if that pulls up.
Okay, that worked.
Ah,
Okay. So I'll leave that up for now until I see that it's working properly. Let me see. Yeah, it was slide 7. Okay. So here we have the structure of the frame going up, and this is all aluminum. And you can see the base and the sill plates. Surprisingly, the header going down the top was one of the first things to go up, and everything connected to it. So we had to put scaffolding up to hold it. And this is in August of 2020. So it was kind of nice to see the shape of the greenhouse coming up. This is the fastest part of the whole thing. Okay, I'm going to click on number 8. So in the first picture, you can see this little boxy thing in front of the greenhouse, and I added a canopy to the front entrance that we would be using all the time. And I did that so that if we were ever giving a tour of the greenhouse to the public, and it was a rainy day, they could actually be covered under glass and sheltered. And it creates a nice entrance to the greenhouse. It's only glass on top and not on the sides. And then there's a set of double doors that goes in. The middle picture is the view from the swimming pool area. So you can see the length of it and all these rafter beams going across. And the third picture is from the rear of the greenhouse. And you can see the backside of the wall.
Hey, Jeff,
Yes.
from the banner on the top where it says from current slide, you're kind of in the edit view. Could you
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Let me see if it'll, okay, it's working again. We're back. So here we have the doors and windows on each side of those double doors. You can see 2 square windows here. And these are lower windows, which when I met with Steve Castile and I believe Ann Louise Kemp was there, and the deputy general manager was also there, and we have a vent on the roof, and he had suggested we had 2 windows on the south side, but he suggested 2 more on each end, and that allows cool air to come in from below and exhaust the warm air out at the top. And all of these windows are screened, so you don't have bugs or birds or squirrels or skunks or raccoons or cats coming in.
no critters.
Yes, because they can do a lot of damage, especially birds and squirrels. So we added those on to the original purchase. We also, under Steve Castile's suggestion, was to go from single pane glass to dual pane glass, and it's low E glass. So it helps cut down on heat loss and letting cold in, and so that was a nice upgrade also. So this is all dual pane safety glass. So if it gets broken in any way, it just shatters into lots of little pieces, and nobody's going to get a piece of glass injury. And here you can see some of the first pieces going in. These all had to be lifted up into each space. And before they were actually put in around each frame, there is no place where the glass actually touches the metal. It's all resting on rubber seals, and which also keeps the water out. And then there's rubber on the outside too to seal it. In the upper left photo, you can see we have solar panels, and these are what you call bifacial solar panels, which means that they charge from the outside and the inside. So these are made for sunrooms. So if you have one on your house, you can produce electricity, and any reflective light from inside goes back up and hits the solar panels and produces electricity. So we have 6 of these, and surprisingly, they were only a $500 per panel upgrade, which seems to me pretty cheap. And the solar is actually in between 2 pieces of glass, so it's inside the glass. On the right picture, you see 2 of our construction guys standing on the scaffolding, and it took 3 of us to lift these up into place, and it was a lot of work. And then on the lower picture, you can see the Victorian cresting, which we find appropriate for the garden because the cottage was built in 1900, which is towards the end of the Victorian period, I believe, but it kind of fits in with the look of the area.
Oh, yeah, you have to have that on a greenhouse, Jeff.
Yes, yeah, that's really important. And it does, without it, it wouldn't be the same. So we have it on the canopy, we have it on the greenhouse, and we have it on the opposing door also. And so that was, first glass was in September 16th of 2020, and the panels were put in. We did the roof last, and that was October 7th. On the left, you can see the venting system. It's the full 31 feet of the greenhouse, and it is connected, it will be connected to a thermostat, and then we'll have it set to a certain temperature to open so that it exhausts the heat. And again, with those lower windows open, the cool air will come in at the bottom and the warm air comes out at the top. And this is a northern view of that vent where you can see 6 of the 12 panels are already put in. That was the last thing that we kind of put on the greenhouse. We had to connect the bar and do all that. So it was great working with the staff and getting this all done. And then move in. So, by early November, we were getting close to being done. And one of the reasons we even got the greenhouse is because we grow a lot of tomatoes and peppers, and we have these coleus that we always plant in the garden. And I was growing the tomatoes at home on trays, on heating pads, and bringing them back and forth to work because our greenhouse in January that we had was too cold. It'd get down into the low 30s, and seeds won't grow at that temperature. So I would always have a lot of dirt in my car from plants. And we would start 500, 600 tomato plants and peppers. And then the coleus, they don't like temperatures below 50 degrees. So we tried to keep them alive through the winter inside the greenhouse. And, one year they all melted. And so as soon as it started getting cold in early November, I told the guys, I said, as soon as you put that last piece of glass in, I'm bringing in the coleus because it was getting cool. And so that's what you see in the upper left picture is the coleus. Every year we buy them because we have a lot of shady areas and they add a lot of color without having to have flowers. And we have about 70 varieties of them. And this is the first year we've had them survive through the winter. And they're doing great. The upper right photo is cuttings of the coleus we've already started, and other plants in the lower left photo that are also cold sensitive. And then the bottom right, about 10 days ago, we started our 100 varieties of tomatoes and about 40 varieties of peppers, I believe. And we've already propagated hundreds of plants in there, and it's only been 10 weeks, 11 weeks since the greenhouse is done. And so it's already a success. The tables we're using right now are borrowed tables. The Iris Society had some tables here and we're using those, and I brought 2 from home. So even though the construction is completed, it's not done. So we still have more things we have to purchase. So this is Junior and Laurent, and they were the two main construction guys, and they were here from beginning to end. Junior on the left was the one in charge of his crew, and he and I worked together a lot to get this project done, and instructions are never what you expect, and it really took a lot of work calling back to South Carolina for more instructions. This greenhouse also is the same company that made the greenhouse at the Smithsonian for the United States Botanical Garden. So it's a very good company and has national status. So I'm quite proud that we have the same brand here at Dry Creek that'll be here for decades and decades. And some of the guys that worked on it was Junior, Matt, Laurent, Jeff, and Travis. And again, through the pandemic, we lost a couple of months, and from beginning to end, from delivery until it was done, it was 9 months. So somebody could have had a baby in that time. So our baby is the greenhouse. Some of the things that we still need are permanent tables, is metal tables, and then electrical outlets, task lighting, just so that when it gets darker or the sun is gone, we can do some work in there. And then the whole point of the greenhouse having the solar is to keep it off the grid. And so we have applied for a grant for a battery and inverter to store the electricity. And so the solar panels will produce electricity during the day, store it in the battery, and then the whole greenhouse, the fans, the lights, the plugs, and the vent will all be run by solar. And then future things we're going to add to the greenhouse over the next few years would be gutters to collect rainwater, and a sump pump, and then a rainwater storage tank. And then behind the greenhouse on the east side, we need to have a shed and office so we can have the nest to work at, and some place for our pots and soils and fertilizers and tools. And then the pictures that we originally saw of the greenhouse online, they have stonework that goes around the outside perimeter of the foundation. So that will be one of the things we would also like to add at the end. And then also some more cement around the outside, so we have an actual walking place to wheelbarrows and stuff to get there. So there's still more to do. And here's a picture of the lighting. Here's a picture of what the tables look like approximately. And here's what a battery would look like. We would only have one battery because we don't need two, because there's not that much we have to run. This is actually my home, so I have experience with this. And the nice thing about it, it takes up very little space. It can be on the outside or the inside of the greenhouse. I can monitor that from an app on my phone and see how much it's producing. And so it's very modern technology. And so the grant hopefully will pay for this battery installation. And it's about $11,000 just for that part. And again, we won't be connected to the grid. And then the garden in general 2020 in review is with COVID-19, it's been a tough year because we haven't had any volunteers. And there's only 2 of us that work in the garden, and I'm the only gardener. And so it's been pretty tough it's hard enough to maintain without COVID, and with the loss of volunteers, it's been even harder. The upper right picture is our vegetable garden last year. We didn't plant tomatoes, we didn't have peppers. So I'm glad I didn't do it last year, just because we wouldn't have had the volunteers to help. So in the picture, the calendulas took over. So it was still pretty, it just wasn't a vegetable garden. And they're back with a vengeance again this year. The lower right photo is the iris area, and we were very successful in 2019 with the national convention. We have 2,500 irises, and some of those irises you saw in the pots are planted in there. They've multiplied quite well, and but again, doing it by myself has been pretty hard. I don't have any help to pull all those dead leaves off and plant new ones. And then the apple orchard at Guerin also has weekly volunteers to maintain the trees and pruning And they've also not had volunteers, for the whole year. So it's, we've been trying to go up there one day a week lately to help get the 218 trees pruned. And some of these trees take 30, 40 minutes per person per tree to do. So we'll never get it all done in a year, but we have started and we've gotten about 25 trees done so far. And then of course we lived through all the smoke and fire last year, building the greenhouse and trying to work in the garden, but trying to protect ourselves. So it has been a tough year, and it has put us a year behind basically in maintenance. The plants, COVID doesn't affect them, and the heat and smoke doesn't stop them from multiplying and growing, and it didn't stop the weeds whatsoever. So all the work is still there. We just need more bodies to take care of it. And I would be happy to take any questions.
Well, thank you very much, Jeff. It's beautiful.
You bet.
I'm only bummed that I don't get to come up there and take a look yet. I'd be all over it.
Yes. And a lot of the visitors walking by the front of the garden keep asking us, when are you going to open? And I said, well, when I get my shots, which I just found out today, we can sign up for shots as workers. So I need to get off this video and sign up for my shot. But I said, as soon as we get our shots and you get your shot, I said, our paths are really small. There's only 2 of us that work here, and we can't, one of us have to stay at the gate and count how many people are coming in, and someone else in the garden, making sure that they're staying apart. And because the pathways are so narrow, they'd all have to walk a certain way. And that would be really, really hard. People don't always follow directions, and especially with kids and all of that. So I will answer any questions that you have.
Well, very good news on the shots, first of all.
Yeah.
And then the greenhouse is most impressive.
Thanks.
But I really didn't expect any less from you. It is really gorgeous. And it's such a great benefit because I know you already know this will allow you to do the propagation to continue to, restore the Meyers garden, because there's probably things that aren't that easy to find that you might want to use in your restoration that then you can recreate in that greenhouse. So it's fabulous. And I'm looking forward to the time that I can come back and help volunteer. I'm ready to divide rhizomes and also help with propagating if you'd like as well.
Wonderful.
And I have one quick question. On the pruning of the apple trees, is there a protocol that would allow you to bring in volunteers? Because we can talk about this offline, but I have a feeling there might be an opportunity if everything lines up to see if there's some master gardeners who know how to prune, might want to come in and use their skills.
Yeah. If it was up to me, which it isn't, we are outdoors and we are far apart, but there is a liability issue, I believe, and we don't want it to be traced back to us. And I also don't want anybody to get sick. So so not up to me, but some of our supervisor retired in December, and one of our rangers also, and they're already roaring to come back as soon as we can have volunteers. So I've kept in touch with our volunteers to make sure that, no, I haven't forgotten about you, and I will let you know as soon as we're able to let you come back in. So I have maintained that connection with them so that they're not just forgotten. So it will hopefully work out. And then, on the propagation, there are plants here that don't exist in the trade anymore because they're so old. And so now we are able to propagate, bring some of those plants back in case something happens to them. And so that's very promising. It's nice to have. So.
That's really great. That's really great.
Yeah.
I think the AGM had his hand up there for a second.
No, I just wanted to comment on the volunteers. Yeah, we're looking forward to getting the volunteers throughout the entire district. Hopefully the way numbers are going, they're going well right now. That the COVID numbers are coming down. So I'm hoping by the time we get to May or June, maybe we can have volunteers back. So we'll see. We're hoping, keeping our fingers crossed.
Thank you. Board members, questions or comments? Director Wieskamp.
I can't tell you, often I talk to Mark Pearson about coming to see the greenhouse, but he's now a retiree, so he'll have to wait to come back, huh?
Yes.
No, magnificent effort on all your part.
Thank you.
Innovative, and the little Victorian touch really does help it fit in. So it's utilitarian, but it's beautiful too. And once it gets lots of plants in it, and you have Ellen in there working her little heart out,
Yeah.
it will be, people will love to see it. I think they will love to see it and know that you're propagating plants. And maybe we can use propagated special plants as prizes for people, awards for volunteers or something. I think that'll be really exciting. So congratulations on your patience, all of you, to get through that, but I'm impressed with what it looked like. I wasn't sure either, but that looks wonderful.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, it's a long haul, but I'm patient and I don't complain very much. So I just sit back and know that it will happen. And yet it'll be interesting opening because all of our regular visitors are going to come back in and they're going to see this brand new structure that didn't exist before.
Magic.
Yeah. So that's something I'm looking forward to. And yeah, it's been strange without people in the garden. It's been nice. It's been unusual. So thank you for your compliments.
Well deserved.
Director Echols.
Yeah, well, Jeff, thank you so much for your initiative on this. Really, it's just a stunning result. Very, very exciting. And really, I can't wait to come visit. Thank you.
We're all to be there.
Great, thank you. And I'd like to thank the Meyers sisters because they have a fund that has allowed this to happen. And the interest that was generated from the fund is what actually has paid for the greenhouse.
Wow.
So that's been a great benefit to the garden. I don't think I had any idea what they would be benefiting in this way, but I think it's really appropriate for the garden and it'll be there for decades. So
that's wonderful. They were visionaries.
Yes. Yep.
Director Wieskamp.
Do we have the funds set aside for all of that little list you had of other things to be added?
Yes, I need to come to you and ask for that money.
Well,
I think that's what you might have been doing.
I think you probably got some votes lined up.
Yeah, can we just do it right now?
Well, I don't think there's enough of us, but we sure are
amend the agenda and move it to the finance committee.
Yeah. So luckily we're working on the grant for the battery because that's the most expensive part, and we're asking for 15,000. The maximum was 25,000, so the 15,000 will hopefully cover the battery and installation, and that needs to be done soon because when we have a sunny day already, even with the vent open, earlier it was already 92 degrees in there. Last week it went to 108 when I went out to do some work, and I came back and the sun had come out and I was like, oh geez, it's really hot. So having electricity is really important at this point to keep the plants and me from cooking inside the greenhouse.
Well, exception.
Untanned piece.
Yeah. So yeah, I will be hopefully making another presentation to ask for funds for the tables and lights, and that'll be, I think, the next things.
Well, Jeff, you're looking at 2 of the finance committee members too.
Okay. What day is that meeting?
And they'll try to influence the other member, I am sure.
Okay, great.
So thank you for your exceptional efforts and your exceptional project. As the AGM said earlier on in the meeting, it's always just so wonderful to see the special work our special people in the Park District do. I mean, it truly is exceptional. So thank you so much.
You bet.
You're a treasure, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you. And thank you for your support through the whole process. It's been
Thank you very, very much.
Yeah.
And we hope to see you soon.
And live,
yes,
a
yes,
live performance.
yes. Okay, great.
And your flowers. We want to see them.
Congratulations on getting your shots.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I'll have to sign up. Well, thank you.
Yes.
All right.
AGM O'Connor, do you have anything in closing?
I was just going to check and see
On that
with
item?
Denise if we have any public. Oh, on this item? No, I don't. Just a great
Yes.
job, Jeff. Really glad. I was really impressed to see it in person. You know, you see drawings and things like that, but once you see it in person, you realize that that mass wall in the back is going to be an amazing asset to this thing over the winter time. So really, really well designed. It's just a great example, like you said, Director Corbett, of what our staff does. So nice job.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, Jeff.
Stay safe.
All right. You too.
All right. So are there any public comments?
No, Chair Corbett, we received no public comments on this item or for the public comments item.
Okay, thank you very much. So now it's time for board comments. Director Wieskamp, do we have anything you'd like to add?
As soon as we can, let's line up the board for a tour here, there.
Yes.
Yes. I know I've got some
Springtime is
quotes.
good for flowers. During iris blooming season, hopefully, if we get there
Ooh.
by then.
That would be a double win.
Yeah, that would be very nice. Thank you, Director Wieskamp. Director Echols,
Nothing further from me. Thank you.
thank you very much. AGM O'Connor, I don't have anything further either. So, AGM O'Connor, do you have your report?
Just
Comments?
it appears that the County of Alameda has accepted our park staff as essential workers, and we're starting
That's
to roll
such
out.
great news.
Yes, we're rolling out vaccinations. So, you know, I can't tell you how relieved I feel as the AGM of operations. It's actually very impactful to me because it's just like a great relief. So anyway, I'm very happy for our staff, and that's starting to roll out. And hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll get everybody through. And just anyway, that's like the best news ever. So I just thought I'd share that out with everybody.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Congratulations. Thank you for your hard work.
Everyone.
Yeah, and I have to give a lot of credit to Al Love from Public Safety. He really helped get this thing across the finish line. So we're very happy.
Good.
Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
some really awesome work being done with the EOC team, without a doubt. And that includes you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, it's time to adjourn.
What
Great
a happy
meeting.
Yay. Well led. Well
Thank you
planned.
all. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, everybody. Take care.